Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty fascinating, the Nomad CEO Blueprint by Fernando Raymond.
Yeah, it's a really interesting look at building a location-independent business.
Exactly. It's not just about, being able to work from anywhere. It's about how you actually build a global company, maybe even starting small, like from a laptop.
That's really the core mission of our deep dive today, isn't it? To kind of extract the system he used. We're talking ClickDo, SeekAHost, scaled globally, apparently starting from just a tiny room in London.
Wow.
And the focus is really on the blend, the skills, sure, but also the systems, and critically, the mindset behind it all. How he tied digital businesses to lifestyle brands like Yogi Fitness.
That's the unique angle, I think. This
Yeah.
British Sri Lankan entrepreneur making wellness, like physical and mental discipline, absolutely central to his business success, not just an afterthought.
Right. And the blueprint itself, he breaks it down into three main parts, which we should probably unpack. First, there's the mindset. Call it the inner game, the discipline part. Second, the skills, like the actual toolkit you need today.
The practical stuff.
Exactly. And third, the systems. This is what he calls the freedom infrastructure. Basically, how you build something that runs without you needing to be hands-on all the time.
All right, let's start with mindset then.
Yeah,
Because chapter 1 kind of flips the whole digital nomad dream on its head.
it really does.
The big message is freedom comes after discipline. It's not about running away from work. It's about designing work that you don't feel the need to escape from.
Yeah, that's probably a tough concept for anyone imagining just cocktails on the beach.
Totally.
It really turns that fantasy upside down, the mental setup required. It's about being your own constant when everything else is changing, like currencies, time zones, client demands.
But you need stability inside.
Exactly. He calls it the Nomad CEO code. Self-discipline, adaptability, curiosity, courage. These aren't just nice to haves, they're like the requirements for managing the chaos. Your internal state has to be the one thing that doesn't fluctuate.
And he builds that with daily habits, non-negotiables, yoga, breathwork, journaling.
Yeah, and importantly, before checking emails, before the noise starts.
Right. That seems key.
He really sees these as like leadership tools. Doesn't matter if he was in that London room or somewhere else entirely, like Greece. Those routines keep him centered. He's pretty clear. Freedom outside without structure inside, that just leads to chaos.
I found his take on fear really interesting, too.
Yeah.
Not seeing it as something to avoid, but as data.
Data pointing to growth.
He compares it to learning calisthenics, right? You have to face the fear of falling to do a handstand. Same in business. Fear tells you where your edge is.
And that demands like total ownership. You can't just hope for success. You need to track your growth.
Yeah.
He suggests this personal scoreboard idea, asking yourself daily, what did I learn? What did I create? Who did I help? How did I grow? It forces you to measure what you actually control, your actions. You're learning, not just, wishful thinking about results.
Okay, so the discipline is the engine.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, how does that fuel translate into, well, actually making money? Marketable skills.
Right. Once the mind's focused, where do you direct that energy?
It seems to start with finding your niche. He uses this intersection method.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward but powerful. What you love times what you're good at times what people actually need, the market demand.
Simple enough.
But the key insight, I think, is that it has to start from genuine curiosity, like his SEO expertise. It didn't come from some dry market analysis report.
Yeah.
It came from him being obsessed with his own blog, figuring out how people found his stuff online. That personal curiosity became the seed for his agency, ClickDo.
Ah, okay. So curiosity drives the skill development. And chapter 3 lays out 5 main skill areas you need to master.
Right, the core digital toolkit.
Yeah.
And mastery is the word, not just dabbling.
What are they?
First, content creation blogs, videos, podcasts. Basically, creating things that show your authority. Second, web design and online presence. Knowing platforms like WordPress inside out because your website's your base.
Makes sense.
Third, digital marketing and SEO. He really highlights this one. Says it's what broke his income ceiling because it brought in leads, predictably.
Crucial.
Fourth, AI and automation tools. Using tech to leverage your time, amplify what you do. And fifth, communication and leadership. The sort of soft skill that's actually a superpower for remote teams.
And he has a specific way to master these, right? The learn right arrow, apply right arrow, teach loop.
Yes, this is clever. You learn something, you immediately use it on a real project.
Get your hands dirty.
Exactly. And then crucially, you document and share what you did. blogs, videos, whatever.
So teaching reinforces the learning and builds credibility.
Precisely. It speeds up your learning because you have to actually do it. And sharing it builds trust. People see you doing the work, getting results, and they want to hire you.
Okay, but that leads to the big jump from freelancer, trading time for money, to founder, building a system. That sounds like a major hurdle.
It's where a lot of people get stuck, absolutely.
Because it sounds great, design the system. But if you're a one-person show starting out, isn't that just more work? Adding documentation on top of client work. When do you make that switch?
Well, the book suggests the trigger point is when you literally can't keep up. When fulfilling promises means working insane hours, that's the signal. Stop just doing, start designing.
Ah,
Scaling isn't just hiring more people to do messy work faster. It's about building the structure first. The founder's role shifts. You stop being the main person doing the task, and you start being the person who documents how the task is done well.
so things like standard operating procedures, SOPs.
Exactly. Even simple things at first. A shared Google Sheet for customer info, clear checklists for common tasks like keyword research or onboarding a client. That documentation becomes the company's brain.
And that documented system, that's what lets you go global.
Oh,
right.
That's the foundation for it, yeah. Chapter 5 talks about remote leadership needing clarity, transparency, and giving people autonomy. Trusting them with outcomes, not watching their every move.
Okay, and that leads into Chapter 6, this big strategic move, making Asia the digital backbone, specifically Sri Lanka and India. What were the real advantages there? Why was that so important?
Well, cost is part of it, obviously, for scaling. But it was much more strategic than just saving money. The huge advantage was the time zones.
Ah, the 204/7 operation.
Exactly. The follow the sun model. London signs off, Colombo and Coimbatore sign on. So tech tasks, support issues, things started in Europe get finished overnight by the teams in Asia. The business literally doesn't stop.
That's a massive competitive edge.
Huge. So Asia becomes the engine room, the tech muscle, handling operations around the clock. Europe focuses more on strategy, partnerships, business development.
A hybrid model then.
Precisely. And interestingly, while they use all the standard digital tools, Slack, ClickUp, Notion, he made a point of setting up physical offices in Sri Lanka and India to build stability, a sense of belonging, a real team culture. He didn't want scaling to feel purely transactional, especially across continents.
That makes sense. So let's get into those non-negotiable systems from Chapter 7, the things that keep it all running smoothly, the 2047 silent workforce.
Yeah, this is vital. Automation is key. Handling the repetitive stuff automatically, billing, basic email responses, assigning support tickets.
Freeing up people for harder problems.
Exactly. Let the humans do the creative thinking, the complex problem solving, the relationship building. The machines handle the grunt work. And for keeping everyone on track, they use a simplified OKR framework.
OKR. Objectives and key results. What's the light part mean?
It just means keeping it focused. Instead of tons of metrics, they track maybe just 3 to 5 really critical, measurable results each quarter.
Ah.
The focus is always on the outcomes, measured weekly, not just the hours people put in.
And making this whole global thing robust, resilient. The no single point of failure rule.
Absolutely critical, especially if the CEO wants to actually disconnect sometimes.
Right. Every single vital process, getting into a server, handling payments, whatever, needs 3 things. 1 clear owner, 1 named backup person, and 1 up-to-date documented SOP.
So if someone's sick or leaves or forgets a password.
The business doesn't grind to a halt. The system itself keeps running. In a way, the system becomes the CEO's backup.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Chapter 8 talks branding, storytelling. The idea that the personal brand, the founder's face, boosts the business brand, the logo. He used his personal blogs like fernandaloves.com, sharing the journey, the struggles, even his fitness training.
Yeah, and that apparently built a lot of connection, emotional buy-in, people related to the human story behind the tech company.
But I wonder, is that realistic for everyone? Building such a public personal brand, doesn't that just blur lines between personal life and work maybe too much?
That's a fair question. The book seems to argue that the blurring is intentional. It attracts clients who get the whole disciplined lifestyle philosophy, making for a stronger connection.
And that ties straight into Chapter 9, wellness as a leadership strategy.
Right. This is where Yogi Fitness and the tech companies really connect conceptually.
Exactly. The focus needed for a tough yoga pose, the grit for calisthenics. He sees that as direct training for the mental strength needed for business, holding firm on a strategy when the market's shaky, for instance.
So the physical discipline builds the mental discipline. It's CEO training.
That's the idea. Building stillness, strength, courage through physical practice. The argument is that in the future, a leader's key differentiator won't just be strategy, but their presence and energy. And that comes from these mindful, disciplined practices. Wellness isn't a fluffy add-on, it's core tech for sustainable high performance.
So bringing it all together, what's the outlook? Chapter 10 talks about the future, AI-powered entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the big takeaway isn't that AI is taking over jobs, it's that AI is augmenting human capability. AI will increasingly handle the operational stuff, the systems management, the routine tasks. This frees up the Nomad CEO, the human leader, to focus purely on the highest value things. Setting the vision, emotional intelligence, asking the right questions, building relationships across cultures.
Things AI can't do.
Exactly. So the future belongs to people who are skilled, yes, but also adaptable, good at designing systems, and good at collaborating globally while living intentionally wherever they are.
It's sort of the peak combination of technology and human potential for freedom. #tag outro.
Yeah, to wrap it up, the whole Nomad CEO blueprint really boils down to a few core ideas. Freedom through focus, that discipline thing again. Having a global vision, but staying grounded locally. And using automation, but with clear intention.
Right. It's less about a specific destination and more about designing a life that works, that's resilient wherever you happen to be.
The ultimate goal isn't just a business that can run from anywhere.
But a life that truly thrives everywhere.
Exactly. Which leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on based on this blueprint. Given that things are moving towards decentralized systems, towards needing rapid adaptation, what's one thing, just one area in your own professional life, maybe a skill you rely on, a process you follow, or even just a daily habit that you could start pivoting right now? Make it less dependent on where you physically are and more dependent on your own daily discipline.
That's the starting point.
That decision, that small shift, could be the first step towards building your own version of that freedom.